Thank you all for joining. Those look like in northern New England maybe going to hit with some pretty significant snow. Those in the east and along the coast probably won't be so bad. So that'll be good. So let's see. I don't see Paul's on yet. So I see Ted Cryer's on. So thanks, Ted, for joining us, and thanks for your question. It is really coming back to some things that we talked about in the past as it relates to transmission oil. And so Ted, you want to pose your question to the group and see if we can get some banter going back and forth regarding that?
Yeah, I didn't make it to the last meeting, but I watched the video and I saw it was a discussion item. And I think it comes around about once a year. And wanted to share some things that I had discovered about what oils to use. And two things that I didn't hear discussed is one is John Esposito at Quantum Mechanics. On his website, he had in the past, and he usually has what he calls the hot topic of the day, but he had one about frequent question he gets, not too surprising considering his business, but anyway, what oil to use. So this was from 2011 where I had printed a copy of it. And what John had done is he went and set up a test rig with the gearbox and an overdrive, and he tried the different oils. And he tried, he tried 30 weight non-detergent, and he tried synthetics. He tried a hypoid 90 weight, and even automatic transmission fluid. And what he noticed is how the pressures would go up in the overdrive unit. And with the 90 weight, they went so high that he thought they could be damaging. So, but when he got done with the whole thing, he really came down to sticking with the 30 weight non-detergent. And the 90 weight, he actually has seen gearboxes that indicated they were damaged by using it. The other thing he mentioned, like I think I heard somebody on the call, might have been Michael Salter last month, said Triumph suggests one thing, MG suggests another thing, Healey says another thing, Volvo says another thing. So, so there's just all kinds of, suggestions, and I guess use what works best for you. I'm using the 30 weight non-detergent. I buy it from Napa. I sent a note to John. I've met him a couple times and asked him if that was available or if he would mind if I scanned it in and sent it out to people just for good technical information, the way he did it. The other thing I came across, just to add a little more confusing to the whole issue, was someone gave me a copy of Healey tips and suggestions, and one of them had to do with the gearbox oils, and there's analysis done by a guy named Chris Dimmick from Australia.
Yep.
And he went. He didn't do anything as technical as John did, but he surveyed a lot of people he knows, see what they were using. He focused on 4 brands of non-detergent. His analysis came down to Redline 90 weight, which is a synthetic. And he'd been using it for about 1.5 years and liked it very much. Seemed to give him nice crisp shifts, but synthetic can cause leaks in your engines and gearboxes, whatever. So a couple items just to add a little more confusion to the whole subject. I'm sure it'll come up again in the next 12 months, as it always does. But sounds like just use whatever you want to, you want to use and you're happy with. If your gearbox is in good shape, I don't know. I'm sticking with the 30 weight non-detergent that John Esposito recommended. So
that's what I'm using on both my 100 and my BJ8. I'm using straight 30 weight. I've had no problems with either overdrive transmission.
Yeah, so just a little more input on the subject there for everybody to stew over.
Should we
Anyone else have anything? Go ahead, Steve.
Ted, should we be changing our gearbox oil periodically?
He didn't give any indication, John did, of changing it more often than what's normally recommended. And he did say multi-grades indicated they worked fine. A little difference in pressures, but everything seemed to work okay. And I remembered from the call video that Michael Salter uses a 2050, which is what the engine oil is, I think he uses.
Yep.
So, and that seems to be what he likes to use. So, you know, I don't know if I changed my gearbox and overdrive oil as much as I changed my engine oil, but certainly not, seems to be something not to neglect, let's put it that way. So anyway.
I had, this is Steve. I had my gearbox rebuilt by Joe, and he told me to change it like every 2 years.
Okay.
And I told him I probably only put maybe 600, 700 miles a year on it. And he
Yeah.
said it was really more for the moisture content, and it wouldn't hurt to do it every 2 years.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing. And I use the Napa straight 30 weight. And
Yeah.
again, we're not really driving them in the winter, so you
Yeah.
really don't need the multi-viscosity. So seems to be working so far.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I mean, certainly whenever I've changed my transmission oil, it's certainly much cleaner than the oil, my engine oil is.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, but I think it's good, you know, I think, 2 years or, fairly frequently is probably a good thing to do. You don't have to do it annually, certainly, but
Yeah.
it's certainly, it's not a big expense. So,
Yeah.
Do it, just to save things.
Okay. Well,
Anyone else have any?
I hope people enjoyed that. So
Thanks, Ted. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts regarding transmission oil, excuse me?
I mean, that's pretty consistent with what I've heard and read and done over the years. So I would agree with that.
yeah.
Great. Thanks, Neil. Good to see you. So let's see, a couple other things. You're gonna, those that read The Hen last month, you saw Bob Easterbrook's on. Bob is just starting a restoration of his BT7 and looking forward to that. Dave Bevan is going to have an article in the March end about his restoration. So they're both working with Mark LeBlanc, and I know Bob Britton knows them well. I just want to make sure, hopefully you saw a notice this week. Mark is going to be having on April 29th another open house at his facility. So I know that it was very successful last April, the end of April last year, and he'll be doing that again on the 29th. So it's an open house, and look forward to seeing a number of folks there. I think, Bob, you probably had what, 30, 40 people there at that meeting last year, wasn't it, Bob?
Oh, I think he had close to 50
Did he?
or
Yeah.
60 people. And he has 4 Heelys in there at various stages of construction or restoration construction.
Well,
Plus-
and aren't at
plus
least 3 of
plus
them?
2 Triumphs.
Oh, yeah. But
he has a
aren't at
TR
least 3 of them New England members, Bob?
Actually, I think all 4 are New England members.
Okay, good.
And they're all going to be coming down the line together. Maybe.
Well, I think Dave Bevan's hoping to have his ready by that open house.
Yeah. He's not on the call, is he? His is definitely the furthest along from my observation.
Right. Yep. But so Bob Easterbrook, you had questions regarding low jacks. Now you're the first person that's asked that question. So
Is that right?
Does anyone do anything special for security other than turning off your battery terminal on your big Heeley for, like a low jack we did back in the day on modern cars? So just curious, does anyone do anything special in that regard? The silence is deadening, Bob.
I'm not
It's
sure
an
how
answer,
many
though.
people know how to drive stick or start a Healy.
I know
Well,
I knew someone who had, he had an old Buick LeBaron limousine, and he used to take the front right wheel off it, so nobody could take it out of his garage. But yeah, this whole thing started with when we bought an F-150 pickup. Oh man, I think in 2000, and it was one of the top 3 most often stolen vehicles. And so we actually got I think we got a deal on the insurance if we put the low jack in it. But I just didn't know if there was, if any of you guys had done anything like that, or even thought about it.
Well, I think if you use that battery cutoff switch and locking your boot, that's a pretty good security blanket.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious, but I'm getting ready to begin to start to think about the future here, because my car is nowhere near along as Dave's is. In fact, I talked to Mark today, and it's in the slot for the sandblaster, and so he shot me a picture of where the parts are of it all over the place. So it's going to be a while, but just preparing for the future just a little bit. Okay, that's good enough to know.
Require external power?
What's that?
Does it require external power?
A
It
low
runs
jack?
off the battery. The low jack runs off the battery, which I wish I knew where it was. They put it in the vehicle, and they don't tell you where it is, so that no one can take it out, including the owner. And now I'm pretty sure it's been draining the battery on my truck for the last 2 years, but I can't find it in there. But it runs off. It runs off the battery constantly. If you can't put a vehicle up, just as a curiosity, you can't put a vehicle up and just leave it alone for a month or two and have a low jack in it and have the battery connected, because it'll kill the battery. It's going all the time.
Does polarity matter?
I don't know. It's the truck is positive ground. I mean negative ground. That's a good question. I don't know. But if it doesn't seem to be the thing that anybody else is terribly interested in, or anything about it. I know when I was living in New York, nobody would break into a car to steal it. They would just run a flatbed up your driveway and pull a car onto it and drive away with it. And that's how they did it in Queens. They didn't bother to try and start it or anything.
I'd be
Well,
interested.
hopefully
to
no
see
one
if-
on this call is leaving their Healy on Queens roads.
Yeah.
Yes. There were, the whole time I was living down there, I actually never saw one. So you're probably right.
I just out of
Just
curiosity.
move up
would
to
be-
New Hampshire and you won't have to worry about the theft.
That's right.
That's
You
a
don't
great
even lock
idea.
we don't even lock the doors up here.
That's right.
That's tremendous. That's a great idea.
Oh, good. And just remember, they're going to Europe, so we could all crash their place. Thanks, Bob.
All right.
The other thing that I've heard people do is put a switch on their fuel pump and like put dual fuel pumps and have a neutral position on it where it's off. So that's in addition to the battery switch, that's one other thing.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I
Okay.
actually have that on my car. Do with the central switch. If you put it in the center, it kills it. And half the time I can't even find the switch. So I can't imagine anybody else will find it.
The neat thing about that is the car would start, it'd probably get a block or so
Yeah.
and then stall.
Yeah.
And then who's ever stealing it, you would think would just abandon it
Yeah. That's true.
out in the open somewhere. I mean, that could be a great ploy.
Yeah.
That exact thing happened to me. I had a 78 Sirocco back in college, and I put a kill switch under the shift boot that shut off the fuel pump. And car was stolen. I looked down the street. It was, quarter mile away down the street.
Oh, there you go.
They
Okay.
stole the radio, but they didn't get the car.
I have one of
Good.
those old steering wheel locks. You cock the wheel so that if they can't really tow it. And lock
That's
it.
another idea. I had also seen the locks there's the one that goes on the brake and the clutch pedal, where it's a stand that pushes against the floor of the car, and it's keyed to the either the clutch or the brake
brake,
pedal.
right?
So
Yeah.
it's the brake, yeah. So you can't use it. So I was wondering, those are good ideas. Okay, I'll probably end up using all of them.
Boy, Middleborough must be a rough town. I'm not going
Oh,
to
I'm
take my car
telling
down
you.
there.
We play hard down here.
I guess. Neil, you had something you were going to add?
I was just interested in the insurance angle that was brought up. I wondered anybody else that maybe uses Haggerty or similar, whether there is such a discount for putting a anti-theft device in. I just had never considered that.
I'll be finding out. I'll find out.
Okay.
I'll give him a call.
No,
I'll do that. Yeah, I'll report back.
Yeah, that's a good point, Neil. I hadn't thought of that. But generally, classic car insurance is, so much more reasonable than
It
what you
is.
pay for your daily driver. It's probably
Yeah.
not going to amount to a lot, even if there is a special discount.
right, yeah.
They say, in my Haggerty policy, it says the car needs to be garaged, in a locked garage, but that's kind of the extent of the security.
Yep.
My
So-
friend owns a construction company and some of his big Caterpillar equipment, excavators have been stolen. So he put on each of them a device, and you probably find it on the internet, and it hooks to his phone. And he can tell when it is moving. And he's got like 30 pieces of equipment. So he
Yeah.
has an app on his phone, or he has an alert,
Yeah,
and it can tell him if it's moving. Now he can't kill it, but
Yeah.
he can know it's moving, and he kind of can see where it is on a map. You might want to look into that.
that's a good idea too. Yeah. Okay.
And they weren't expensive because he got like 30 of them, and they just hooked to the battery.
Mhm.
And it's a very small unit. I don't know how big it is,
Yeah.
but he
yeah.
can track it anywhere. So I don't know how it works, but something to think about.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. Didn't think of that either.
Well, I know Paul Woglum last year at Cargo Trailer Sales had a couple trailers stolen. They were able to find them, but they may be doing similar sorts of things like that, Steve.
Yeah.
I think they have some inexpensive things that are like they track your suitcase or something like that as well. So you could, attach something like that.
Yep.
That's the big thing is to be able to find it.
Right.
Hey, Pete,
Yeah.
we, at home here, we're using Apple AirTags. And they're just a
Okay.
round disc the size of a silver dollar, actually a little smaller. What they do is they run off of Wi-Fi of anybody else's iPhone. So, or Apple phone. So as the vehicle gets stolen, it actually communicates with any iPhone that it passes. And I have an app on my phone called Find My Phone, and
Right.
it tells me exactly where the car is. And I know it saved me considerable money trapping Pam when she's shopping, but but I have one in the Healy, and I find whenever, like, we do a lot of touring, we're in hotels and that, so I
Yeah.
find with the AirTag in the Healy, steering wheel lock, I put the top up and I lock everything, a bit of a
Yeah.
joke, but then I throw my Healy garage on it, even if it's a sunny night. I put that beautiful cover that snaps right in.
Yep.
What my feeling is, if they can't see it, maybe they won't want to steal it, So
Yeah.
it takes an effort for someone to go to it, lift up the little Healy garage, peek inside, say, oh, I
Yeah.
like this. And then they got to go to the battery switch, the steering wheel, I turn it all locked to one side, and then put the big bar in. And because, down here, if it's gone, it's in Montreal, and then it's in a container, and it's out of the country within a day or so.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we know we won't ever steal anything from Dave Jameson. Wow. I'm impressed, Dave.
And gentlemen, nobody is to tell Pam about the shopping,
Okay. Yeah, so I've certainly heard of AirTags. Anyone else using AirTags in their Healy? Okay, well, Dave, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh, let me see if I can get one.
So what
Okay.
is it called? An AirTag?
yeah,
Apple AirTag. It's about $25, I think, a piece, and they're.
Oh, okay.
I have one. They have like one of those lithium batteries, so you can, that'll last probably a year or so, and then you swap the battery
Okay.
out. And like you said, it works off of iPhones being nearby, and it's surprising. I've used it on luggage, and it works really well for luggage too. When you get to the airport, you can tell, oh, great, my luggage is here at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Good.
they have one for Android.
I'm not sure. Does anyone know, do they have them for Androids as well?
I'm not sure.
They don't have
I'm
an-
not sure if the app works for the Android. I haven't checked on that.
They have something called a tile.
Yeah,
If you've ever heard of a tile, which is kind of works in the same vein.
Okay.
You know,
Makes
and
sense.
so when your tile goes, you put it, hide it in the car.
Oh,
And
Neil's got a picture of one. So if you look at Neil, he's got a picture of a tile. So Neil, are you using that in your car or in your luggage? You're on mute, Neil.
I got it as a Yankee swap gift and they're still in the box. So,
Okay.
So
So
we
they must
put
be
'em on
working
our-
really well.
we put them on our pet. We got our dog and our cat both have, the cat's got an air tag and a tile because he gets
Wow.
out. He's a pain in the ass. And then the dog just got a tile. And the good thing about it for that is you can hit on your phone, you hit it and it will start beeping, right? If somebody steals your car, now you're trying to chase the car down, but it will tell
Yeah.
you where it was last located on your phone, right? You know, so it's not like a LoJack. They used to have a system called LoJack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we started with Alan. That was the
Oh,
very
sorry,
first
missed
question
that
that
one,
Bob had.
The,
Wow.
the marine industry has a whole bunch of products out there just because of the amount of motors and boats that are stolen. Spot is another one that's a true GPS tracker. So there's a lot of options out there if you look, but a lot of them are connected to the marine industry.
Okay. Thanks, Todd.
How
Yeah,
about
and-
Smith and Wesson?
About what?
That's messy. He's asking about Smith and Wesson.
Yeah, I got an H&K, that'll do it.
Yeah. Sig Sauer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't see Paul. You haven't joined us, right? Or Jerry? Okay, because those are they all both submitted questions as well. So I'll open it up to the group. Are there other things that people would like to discuss tonight? Those are the couple of questions we had in advance, but anyone else have anything they'd like to discuss?
Peter,
Hi, Steve.
yeah, how are you?
Good.
You gave me, or one of the members gave me probably 4 or 5 tech sessions ago, the name of a company that would be able to match paint. I'm looking for a way to, if I can get a sort of a patch up paint or, you know, just a small bottle. And I think it's going to involve taking the car because of the fading and whatnot.
Yep.
But I think is there someone local that does that?
Yeah, so if you go to any Allied Automotive, the guy just did it for both my 100 and my Iris Blue Sprite for Lucas. And I got a half a quart. It was about $160 for the two. Reds are a little more expensive than blues, but they put a camera right up to the
Right.
surface. So I had the car clean when I took it to the shop.
Right.
And they put the camera up there, and within 8 hours I had a half a pint of touch-up paint to match my car. And it's very, again, my cars are base clear, so it's going on just base. So
Yeah.
if you really want to, so it's a little flatter than what the other, so you'd have to put clear on top of that if that's what your paint structure is, base clear.
Okay. This
But
is
any
just
Allied
a,
Automotive in Massachusetts does that.
okay. This is just literally it's about the size of a dime on the driver's side door. And I've got to be a little bit of filling, but I think I can do a touch up and it'd be hardly anyone would recognize that there was a repair there. But
Yep.
it's nice to have a small bottle just if something else comes up.
Yeah, so they gave me a pint can and they filled it with half a pint. And again, for two cars, it was $160. I did it 2 weeks ago.
Good.
The one
Wonderful.
the one I happened to use, Steve, was in North Attleboro on Route 1. But I believe that any automotive places that do paint, so maybe some Napas do, wouldn't be at an AutoZone or an Advance
Right,
Auto.
right,
They don't do
right.
paint, but Allied Auto does.
Well, if you're satisfied with them, I'd make the trip down.
Yeah,
Nice trip to take the Healy down.
yeah, it was on Route 1, northbound, right off the Plainville line. in North Attleboro, and they have the camera and they put it right on the car. They want a flat surface to minimize any potential glare or anything like that. So it came out really nice. Both shades came out very close.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you.
Hey, Pete, you
Yeah.
know, I haven't heard of that, and I'm from New Jersey, so we don't have it allied, but we do have paint shops. But I was just thinking for you guys up here, that could be a great event. Set up with Allied that you're gonna do a tour and bring some Heelys over
Yeah.
and have them run the gun or the camera on top of that. So everybody now has a code or whatever. And if
Well,
they
that's a
want to
good
get
idea.
some touch up, they could. It benefits the shop as well as
Yeah.
it benefits the
Yeah, they get the business.
members. I thought,
Yeah.
I think it would be a hoot.
That's
Yeah,
a great
that's
idea.
good point, Steve. Yeah, yeah, because I mean, again, I went in there with my, now I did have a paint code for the Reno red, so that, but for they didn't for the blue. So I drove the car in there and they got the paint cover. It looked really good. Well, that's good.
So how
Good
do you
suggestion.
apply it? Do you apply it just with a dab it, or you do a like little
I
brush?
do. Yeah. So yeah, I just use a small paintbrush.
Yeah, okay.
And just, dab it on, and then
Right.
if it's a more noticeable place, I'll put a dab of clear over it.
Okay.
You could then wet sand it with like 4,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
If but yeah, it makes a difference. I tend to do all my cars at least once a year with touch-up paint, just because you get little nicks.
Really?
And yeah, well, paint isn't what it used to be, and I
Yeah,
find
yeah.
that I get nicks, especially on the nose of the cars,
Yeah.
from rocks or pebbles or whatever. Or and I also, I'm lucky enough I do have that lift, so I can get underneath the car. I do the under chassis of my car too,
Yeah.
cars
yeah.
as well.
They used to sell an aftermarket accessory called a bra, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For
Yeah.
exactly that reason, right? I don't know how many Heelys had them, but
Well, the
They
problem with
still
those
sell
is
them.
they buff it.
Who is it? Fastpaw out in California?
Oh yeah.
Still makes bras for big Heelys. I have one.
Knew it.
It's actually nicely done, a couple of $100.
Moving on.
And it's snapped in, and I've used it a number of times to keep debris off the front.
And no buffeting when you take it off. You don't see any buffeting, Steve?
I did not. No,
Oh,
we
good.
drove it a couple of times, but from our house in North Jersey to Delaware for one of the shows.
Yeah.
It has a netting over the grill area, and we drove down. It was really hot, and I started to see the temperature climb. On the way back, I didn't put it on. It wasn't as hot, so I don't know if that screening that they put on blocked some of the airflow, or if it was just really hot.
Yeah.
So
I
the
didn't
grill-
really do a great experiment with it. But it protected the grill. It goes behind the bumper. It had some metal tabs that were coated in felt that grabbed around the wheel well, and then it went under the hood. And
Okay.
it snapped in, and it actually had some straps to keep it from flapping. I was surprised. I bought it out at one of the events out west. I don't know what it was in 2002. They had the international thing. I used it a couple of times, and it seems to work pretty good.
So where,
Yeah,
Tell-
Peter,
where were
this
you
is
able to
Jim
get this?
Healy in Norwich. I have one of those bras too. I got it at the from Fastpack when he was up at the Vermont show in 07, I think it was. And I use it when I go distances in it, and it comes on and off easily. There's no problem with it. And I really think it does help when you're going on. Like when I used to go out to the Glen for the vintage weekends and stuff, I'd put it on, and it kind of like keeps those stone chips off the front end.
What's the brand name?
It's made by, and I think whoever just pronounced it pronounces it better. if you get the Mark magazine, it's Fastpaw.
Pack in on the West Coast. He also does the lever shock conversion kit.
Yeah,
Right, so
Udi.
just look in
Yep.
the Mark and you'll see it. He still advertises them. I don't know what they cost now. I think I paid a couple of $100 for it. It was worth every penny.
Called Fast Pack. Is that what it's called? Fast
Yeah,
Pack?
it's FASHPAK maybe?
Yeah, something like that. He's a parts, he does a lot of parts for Healy's.
He does the Blistine conversion.
Yes,
on your
he
lever
does.
shocks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't have a Mark magazine with me, or if I did, I'd give you his website, but
Yeah,
In the back?
His
Is it in the
name is
back?
Udi.
Yeah, he always has an ad in the back of Healy Mark.
yes.
Yeah,
That's good.
and he was at Enclave last year, he and his wife.
Yeah.
They had a booth set up there in
Not
hospitality.
Farge Pass, is it?
Yeah.
Far-
Yeah, that's it.
F-
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
FAHRPASS. And it's Pooskies.
Yeah.
PUT.
Yeah, Udi
Nice.
Puski, yeah.
There you go. Nice Polish name, I guess, or whatever. Pushki.
Well, if you find his website on there in the Mark, you could see. In fact, in the Mark, I think he still has draws listed.
I think he does, and
Got
I
it.
think he's German, actually. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry
Very
about
nice
that.
guy.
So
Yep.
custom made for BN1s to BJH plus, bug-eyed sprites, black, $2.99.
There you go.
That's pretty short.
Back of this Healy Mark.
Okay, great. Yeah,
And when you
he
see
advertised
it-
in every Healy Mark.
When you see it, I mean, when you try to envision a big Healy and try to say, how does it get around the headlights and up against the shroud? It is designed, I mean, just the engineering of it and how they sewed it together and fabricated it, it's really remarkable, because I thought it would be sticking out and it would be ugly, but it really fits nicely. It's actually well done.
Yeah, it fits on my car really well because I took the front bumper off, so I just have the fog lights up and it goes right on. It looks perfect.
Yeah, mine goes behind the splash pan and behind the bumper
Yeah.
in that little gap that's there. I don't know what would happen with a 100 where the splash pan actually touches the shroud, but maybe he's come up with something. I do not know.
Yep. Okay, great.
As far as getting back to the touch-up paints, to do touch-ups on little nicks, you can go to an auto parts store in the paint section, and they'll have little sticks with a tiny, tiny little furry tip on it, really, really small. And you buy like 2 dozen of them for $6-7, and they're perfect for touching up those tiny little nicks you get out of a
Yep,
bottle.
then they're
So,
disposable, you throw them away.
yeah, throw them away. Yeah,
It looks like a long toothpick.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, the ones I use are the skewers for shish kebab, the wood ones. It's
Yeah.
the exact same thing.
Kind of at the other end of the spectrum from the tiny little touch-up, you can actually, at most of these auto body paint stores, you can get a spray can made up of that paint. So, and I don't think it's very expensive. So that's another option too. You can keep the little half a pint and a spray can as well.
But you can also go, I don't know if all auto parts stores have them, but you can get a glass, I think it's called Pre-Val, and it's a glass bottle with an aerosol on top of it. And you can pour your paint into that, mix it up. It's got increments for how much lacquer you want to put in or something. I've used those a number of times with great success. And they're reusable. You clean the glass out. You may not use everything from the aerosol dispenser, and that's another thing to look for.
What do you call it?
I believe the name of the company is Preval, and you can certainly find them online also. I've seen them in auto paint stores.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have them at Home Depot and some paint supply places.
Yeah.
Excellent. Other questions tonight?
You can also get an airbrush at a hobby shop, and it's Pasche, Pasche.
Thanks, Ken. Hi, Guy. How are you?
Good, Pete. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good to see you.
Yeah, doing okay. Yeah, I took the interior out of my 62 tricarb, and the original color was black. And I'm putting insulation in the floor. I got that silicone mat that's supposed to be really terrific. And I've been busy with many other things. I haven't really worked on it in a while, but I'm worried. I'm wondering about the paint for the floor. I really don't want to take out the old floor. It's in really good shape, except for a couple of spots. I'd just like to get the rust under control permanently, but I don't want to change the character of it in any way. And I don't know if I just put black Rust-Oleum on it or
They can't hear.
what do people do when they're, doing that kind of work on the interior?
So is this all under your carpeting, Guy?
Yeah, it's the bare metal, the little pans that fit on the frame,
Right.
They
So
could be
right now,
replaced.
is it body color or is it some other
It's
color?
actually an orange color.
Okay.
And so I'm guessing that's not original, that the car's floor was painted black.
Right.
With the car originally. So, it's been worked on over the years, I'm sure, but it's 98% there, and I just want to clean it up and paint it. And I don't know if there's do I just use Rust-Oleum? I mean, what's the best thing?
Well, there are those, what they call those rust inhibitors. That you can go like, Eastwood has some different products. Eastwood Automotive. You may want to look at those. POR, POR, 415 is something you may want to consider.
Yeah,
Anyone else have
that
any
really-
recommendations for controlling rust? So it's not rust through, it's surface rust, Guy?
Yeah, it's just really surface rust. I mean, it's fairly heavy in spots, but the floor still has integrity, and I just don't want to get into a lot of metal work, and I don't want to take the car. It's essentially an unrestored car, and I'm trying to keep it that way. I'm sure it'll last for many, many years the way it is, and it's lightly used, so.
Loctite has a product called Extend, and it almost looks like milk, and you brush it on the rust and it polymerizes the rust, turns it black, and then you can paint over.
Okay.
It comes in a spray can too.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the phosphoric acids do work. They'll turn that rust to a black oxide. Honestly, the best thing to do, get it down to bare metal. I mean, you have to sandblast it, then put zinc on it, and then primer and paint it. Everything else will last you for a while, but eventually it'll rust. That rust will come through.
Okay,
That's
so
what I find. In the marine environment, that's what I've dealt with that in the past. I find the best thing, bare metal, zinc, and then primer and paint.
Now, the zinc is not hot dipped, obviously, it's a cold.
Just paint
cold-
on, they have zinc spray can.
It's
That's what
bottom
I
paint.
recommend
too.
anyway.
It's bottom paint, for the bottom of a boat. You can get a quart of it or a gallon of it if you want.
Okay, zinc, okay. Yeah, I've heard about POR, but that kind of builds up a lot of thickness, I think, maybe.
No.
Really?
No, I've used it for years. They also offer neutralizing agents, kind of like Extend and things they've mentioned here, but you can probably get the whole package from them if you go to their website.
Okay,
And I've used that very successfully.
okay. I mean, most of the floor is in mint condition. I think it's probably been replaced at one point, but I don't know. It's obviously where the feet go that it's the worst, you know?
No, buddy.
Yeah.
The other
Okay.
thing, sometimes people have asked about sound deadening kits or Dynamat, whatever. There's a company called Cool Mat, and they were a supporter of the Enclave, but they actually have kits pre-cut for Healey's and some other British sports cars. And they actually had an article in Healey Mark some years ago that I saw on their website. So that's something that might be a little easier than how to do it. So I've been doing it for quite a while, and it's called Cool Mat, and I found it on their website, the article they did for in Healy Mark some years ago. So
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, if you go to our national website, you know, we do have that section there where you can do searches on all the past Healy marks. So you can do it. You can do a search on Cool Mat, and you can find the actual article that that Ted's referring to, as well as going onto their website.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's a good help. Thank you very much.
One other recommendation that I have is that when you go to paint something, you always want to clean it. And the product that all of the body shops here in upstate New York use is a product called 5900. Any auto body shop would carry that. And what it does is it cleans the grease, fingerprints, crud, whatever off, and prepares the surface to put either primer or a primer / paint on it. 5900.
Is that better than Pre? That's what Eastwood sells, as a product called Pre.
It might be similar, Pete.
Yeah.
But we have a premier body shop here that does high dollar drag cars and show cars, and that's the only thing they use is this 5900.
Okay. Wow. Do you know who the manufacturer of that is, Ken?
I do not, but I can email you because I have a can in the shop, and you can send it out.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I have
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bob.
Oops, sorry. But I have I'm going to be using a heat gun on the floor first because whoever came before me put, looks like undercoating on it. And there's a heavy black tar-like substance. I assume it's like an undercoating. So I've tried different things to get it off, and it won't touch it, you know, it won't change anything.
Little paint stripper, loosen it up, guy.
I've tried, it seems to take the paint off fine, but not this other stuff.
Okay.
And I was told just get a heat gun and try that.
You
So
know,
in other words,
I'm sorry, Guy. Eastwood, I believe, Eastwood Automotive that Pete talked about, I believe had a spray that you put on to remove undercoating. And it was supposed to not dissolve it, but loosen it up so you could get it off with a putty knife. I don't have an Eastwood calendar handy, but you might want to go to their website and see. But I think I saw something about that. I had to chip it off of my car years ago, and it was really a pain in the butt.
yeah, that's tough stuff. Yeah.
And that's on the inside again in your footwell, guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they just put it in areas where it was especially rusty to try to stop it. And I mean, the good thing is the car came with an original hardtop. So it had its hardtop on it, I think, for most of its life. In fact, I don't even have the convertible top. So that may have been a saving virtue, you know.
So just a comment, you know, obviously they've done that for a particular reason. So, you know, there's the old saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You
Right.
may get that all removed, and you may find more rust than you want to find.
Yeah, yeah,
Just something to consider.
yeah. But so those panels, if you have to replace them, fit in the frame sections, right?
You have the ladder frame, yep, and then go out to
with
the
the
outer
floor.
rails.
with the bracing, and then they're spot welded in and there's a seal underneath. Is that how that works? If I
Yep.
remember?
Yep,
Okay. So they can be taken out individually and replaced if you need to do that.
yep,
Peter,
yeah, go ahead, Ken.
I went out to the shop and got a can. And it's a 100% virgin solvent. It removes dust, sanding, sludge, rubbing compound, fingerprints, produces clean substrate for painting, will not dull lacquer or enamel finishes. And it's 5-star extreme. And here it is. Do I need to-
5-star extreme.
Okay.
Another
Wow.
similar product is called Prep Wall.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that Mark uses in his shop. You know, it's basically a wax and grease remover, similar to this 5900, made by William Barr and Company, BARR. And I buy it by the gallon online. It's not inexpensive. It's like $35 or so. So it's not cheap. But I keep a gallon of it, and then I put it in a spray bottle. You know, it's clean parts, everything. It's really good stuff.
It's Extend, you say? What is it? What is the name of it again?
It's called Prep All,
Oh, sorry.
PREP and all, and it's made by it's a
Bar.
yeah, and you might even find it in a hardware store, but you're only going to find a pint or something. But you can I buy it from Amazon.
Yeah. Okay.
This product was $31 a gallon.
5-star.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what you're going to pay for that stuff.
yeah.
Okay. Well, this probably won't be my last project like this.
They never are.
No. I don't want to go too far. That's my thing. You know what I mean?
I hear you. So John Higgins got a question. He's got a BT7 with a hardtop that you're restoring. So Bob, so John, excuse me, what are your specific questions you have?
Well, can you hear me, first of all?
Yep, we can hear
Oh,
you fine.
I've been trying to ask a question, but for some reason, it hasn't been coming through. Anyhow, it's a 60, it's the original hard top with the 2 bars that go through the back window there. And we were working on it, and then for a variety of reasons, we stopped. But do all those parts, all the trim parts to that original hard top, do they have to be anodized? That's what I was told.
They were anodized, yes.
Yeah, originally I think they were. So I had them buffed out. And another question I had was, what do you recommend to do for filler for little nicks and dents and stuff like that? I mean, the fiberglass hard top, unfortunately, I didn't paint it black. I painted it red, Austin-Healey red, and that's done. The other question I wanted to ask is, a body guy told me that those shrink if you don't restore them immediately.
That the hardtop shrink?
Yes, and I can't understand why. I've had it in storage for, I don't even want to tell you how long. I sent you an email.
Well, again, the fit isn't, you know, I had a hardtop on my BN4. It fit okay. I believe it was original to the car. But you know, they don't fit sometimes perfectly. John, where do you live?
I live in Southwick, Massachusetts.
Okay. Well, there's a gentleman, Al Vittor. He lives up in Gloucester, who's kind of the premier fiberglass hardtop restorer at least in Massachusetts. John, I can send you his contact information, but he restores hardtops regularly.
You did mine. Great job.
Okay, thanks, Guy.
But anything you can steer me towards, like any links that you guys might have that show somebody doing the work. I had one years ago, and for some reason, it's no longer on YouTube. But it was a nice, quick video that just basically, I had all the trim, all the rubber trim, everything's bagged, everything's measured, everything's organized. I have a guy that I just hit it off with down the road here who's restoring World War II aircraft, and he came and looked in the car and said, I definitely want to work on your roof. So just to fund his other projects, because he's got quite a few very rare World War II aircraft. So I have a good contact in him. And
Okay.
the anodizing isn't a problem, but it should be anodized as it was originally.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, the trim around there was anodized. Yes.
So when somebody messed with this car back in the early 60s, they did all these cuts because they couldn't fit the pieces. You can see where somebody made, rather brutal cuts to make things fit. So again, I didn't mean to interrupt the discussion. I just wanted to put that out there. And I'm new to the club. I've only been a member for 2 weeks now, and I've had an Austin-Healey since 1968.
Where you been, John?
A father and 2 brothers ago,
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, when they got the car, I was 10 years old. So.
Okay, well, that's good. Hand me down. Yeah, that's what I'm doing for my kids as well. I'll hook you up, John, with Al, and he can give you. Now, are you looking to have this cockpit trim anodized, or it's already been anodized?
No, that was coming apart. A friend of mine who's an excellent body person was working on this roof, and he said, I can't do the anodizing on this. You got to get the anodizing done and get this all, cleaned up first, then get the anodizing done, fill in these nicks and dents, and then we can revisit it. So.
Right. Bob Abbott, you had that guy that does anodizing. Is he in Tewksbury?
Yes, yes, he is.
What's his name again?
I'm sorry you asked me that.
Yeah, because he did the anodization on my cockpit surrounds.
Right.
Yep.
There's one guy I found in Braintree. I have that contact information someplace. But again, when I say Southwick, Massachusetts, we're that little jog that sticks out down into Connecticut. We're known for, international motocross, and we're at the foot of the Berkshires.
Okay, well.
So we are very far west.
So you're in the snow belt tonight?
Oh, yeah. We're supposed to get 4 to 8.
Okay, that's not too bad. We got others on this call that are going to get over a foot. But there is this, and I'll see if I can find that guy in Tewksbury, or Bob, if you think of it, send me an email and we'll get that to John.
I'm looking in my phone contact list, and I'll come up with it in a minute.
Okay, but yeah, there, and he does great work. This gentleman, he's in Tewksbury. If you need things anodized. So, I'll get you in touch with Alvator about restoration of Healey hardtops. And his guy Gabrielson, he did guys, and I know he's done a couple other club members hardtops as well.
That's great. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Nice to listen to you guys. It really is fascinating.
Great. Well, thanks for joining the club, and we look forward to seeing you. So is your Healey running, John?
I was running it on a regular basis, and then I stopped in 2014. That was the last time I ran it.
Okay. And are you hoping to get it back on the road this year?
Right. I never put more than a gallon of fuel into it at any time.
Wow.
Because I wasn't driving. We couldn't find the title. And now I find that it's I have to have police come and do a verification on the serial numbers.
Yeah.
And life got in the way in so many aspects of this. It would take me too long to explain. But anyway, so as far as cleaning I have the original manual, so That's very helpful. And so I assume I have to take the tank out, clean the tank, clean the lines, clean the carburetors, blow everything out, and get all that lacquer out of there.
So John, when I had my Healy off the road since night, I guess, when was it? For about, I don't know, 25, 30 years. And I went to the registry and I didn't have any
Right.
bill of sale or anything on it. And all I had to do was sign a document swearing that it's my car.
Right. They just told me that. They said, they all told me, I had half a dozen guys in my garage here the other day. And they were saying, basically, they've had motorcycles and cars they've done this with. And they went into the registry of motor vehicles and they said, well, just do this documentation and, from a relative or show bill of sale. And they said, well, I don't know, they started asking all these questions and the registry people said, look, we don't have a handwriting analysis expert here. So if you just want to get this done, go out to your car and just fill out this paperwork. So you're telling me I don't need any kind of a title?
I didn't have a title.
Was the car registered in your name, John?
No, the car was registered in my brother's name from 68 to 69 in Rhode Island.
And that's the last time it was on the road, was 1969?
Yes.
Okay.
So John, you live one town away from me, and I'm over in Suffield, Connecticut.
Oh, yeah.
And my wife inherited her car from her father, who had we had no proof of ownership. And I literally could not register this car in Massachusetts. It was so brutal. I ended up registering it in Vermont, and Vermont didn't care that I didn't live there and I wasn't licensed there. And now that I have it registered, I can transfer it to Connecticut.
Yeah, and a collector up the street here told me, he said, just go and talk to a car dealership in New Hampshire and you can do the same thing. But then when these guys came the other day, 2 weeks ago, they said, no, all you have to do is the police told me we have to do a visual verification of the numbers on the car. Well, I don't want a cop with all this garb on leaning over on leaning onto the car to read the numbers. So I took all these close-up pictures of the numbers to do with our local police. But you're telling me I don't have to do that. That's what they're telling me. I don't have to do that. I'll just go to the registry.
Well, that's what Rich said. So Rich, was the car registered in your name in the 60s?
All I had a registration from the state of Washington, where I had it out there for about 7 months.
But in your name?
In my name, yeah.
Right. So John doesn't have it in his name. It's in his brother's name.
Yeah.
In Connecticut, all I had was a bill of sale and I had to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles and get a VIN verification. They just looked at the VIN plate and verified that it was the same as on the bill of sale. And that was it. There was no title involved.
Right. Well, I had an elderly mother where the title was and the bill of sale and all that stuff. And the title to that and a British motorcycle were somehow lost. I don't know how. So it's
not, so John, I imported my first Healy from the UK, and I did have, the police came to my house and within 30 seconds verified the VIN number and signed the form, and I went to the registry and got the car titled and registered. It was no big deal.
Right.
In Massachusetts.
I've already talked to him about doing that. Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
So this is very interesting to me. Do you guys know anyone who's been turned down? I'm originally from Connecticut, and the car was in my name, in Connecticut. But just like the gentleman that was just on, I haven't driven, it hasn't been on the road since 1974. I still have the registration piece that I used to have to, keep in the car when you get pulled over. But I often wondered about.
And it's in your name, Bob, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that you, just like what Rich had. You're in another state, but it was registered, and you're going to register it in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
all I had to sign something for Massachusetts to say that I owned it. Well,
Right.
Massachusetts requires some proof that you paid, either sales tax or excise tax in Massachusetts.
Right.
Because I was claiming that it was registered at one time in Massachusetts in 1972. And
Okay.
It was driven in Massachusetts, but the last registration and last inspection sticker on the old windshield I have from it in my basement is Rhode Island.
yeah,
And I,
Actually, I still even have the old license plate now that I think about it.
right, well, I can't find the old license. Oh,
But your license plate is from Washington, you said, right? Bob?
That was Bob Easterbrook's.
Right, yeah, you said it's from Washington State, right?
No, it's from Connecticut.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
that was me, Pete.
Okay, sorry, Rich, sorry. But, yeah, so John, that's all something that can be done.
Yeah, it's all doable. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it's, you know,
very much. I really help. It's been very helpful.
okay, great. Bob Abbott, any luck finding the guy in Tewksbury? Bob's still going through his phone. Any other questions tonight? Hi, Al. Go ahead, Alan.
Hey, so I have a Sprite, 67 Sprite, and we got rid of the Weber carburetor and went to two SUs. I think they're HS2s.
Yeah.
SUs. And I got a whole kit, and it was supposed to have been tuned up before I put it on the car. I put it on the car, and I'm looking for tips on tuning it. The car was tuned about a year ago by Bob and Avon, and but now I've changed these carburetors over, and I got the flow meter, the airflow meter,
Yeah.
right? And I kind of went back and forth, and I got the little float to
bubble,
be
yeah.
consistent. I like to
Yeah.
be, that it's drawing consistently, and I got it kind of running pretty well. It started right up, which was amazing. Like it just started right up, which is awesome. But I took it for a test drive, and I'm like at about 40 miles an hour. It just like tops out. That's it. And, it won't go any fast. It won't like go any faster. It just kind of like tops out. And I'm a little over my head on this one. I'm not sure what exactly what the right way to try to tune it is really.
But you said you did the tuning on it and you said they're balanced.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, they're balanced. Yeah.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you can't go over 40 miles an hour.
And I mean, like when I took it out, when I took it on, it just like it just wouldn't accelerate anymore. And there's linkages and stuff that you can play with to try to, that's one of them is the one that, sets the levels. But I wasn't sure if there's.
So do you
any
think your
tips?
throttle linkage is full? You're getting that, so you're getting full on your accelerator pedal, Alan?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
Because what if it's not
Press the
opening up
gas
all the way?
down, the gas pedal, and have somebody look at the flaps in the carburetor, the butterflies. Are they all the way open?
No, I haven't tried that.
Not when it's running, just, you
Just-
have to lift the piston up,
Yeah.
have somebody step on the gas and see if the butterfly would be all the way open. Ken Beck is here. He did work on my car a couple of years ago, and his first comment was my linkage was all out of whack. I think, Ken, your question was, didn't you notice it wasn't going fast enough? Something like that. So he had his guys adjust the linkage, and I guess that's, it wasn't opening all the way or whatever. I don't know, maybe Ken can comment.
When somebody steps on the gas, you can watch the throttle linkage, and it should turn where the idle mixture or the idle setting screw is. That should flip all the way. The travel should go to as far as the linkage will go before it locks up. In other words, it'll turn like 90 degrees, and you can see that the throttle linkage opens up all the way. So you don't need to look inside the carburetor.
And you have to lift the piston, Alan, because the butterfly, what Ken's talking about, is behind the piston.
Yeah.
The piston being the piston in the carburetor.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I learned from a Bug Eye guy video about because now it's got a manual, it's got the manual choke. The Weber never had a like the Weber didn't really have all this stuff. But we got that going, and they were showing it like, hey, when you pull the choke out, it's the first thing it does one thing, but then when you pull it all the way, it's got to make sure that it pushes those pins down on those, like the little black pins in the bottom of the carburetors, that they get pushed down from the choke, right? So okay.
You said the car starts fine. Your issue is the throttle.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah. I mean, it's just
So I think what Ken said, it sounds like it's the throttle linkage. Maybe you don't have that lined up properly, so that should open all the way when you put your accelerator to the floor to be able to open up all the way.
Okay.
Yeah, the pedal may be going to the floor, but the throttle linkage isn't opening all the way up.
Okay. And
another thing to check is the timing, the distributor. If you don't have enough advance, the engine won't rev up anyway.
Did you touch the timing when you changed from the Weber to the SU?
No, I
Okay.
didn't touch that. I mean, like I said, that's why I was talking.
So it's most likely it's the throttle, as
Okay.
Ken just described.
Okay. And I mean, it's wire, like there's a wire, right? I mean, it's the wire that goes up in the thing, and then so right now
It needs to open the throttle all the way.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's not doing that.
Okay. I
'Cause
like
you said
that.
the choke's fine.
It looks like it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but you said the car
Alan,
started right away.
The other thing is that we should tell you is that car only goes 40 miles an hour. Just saying.
You kind of don't want to go
Sorry,
any
I mean,
faster than that
I had to
anyway.
do that, I'm sorry.
But the speedometer says it will go faster. So it just keeps you hoping. Now, and that's
It sounds like the throttle linkage, Alan.
okay. This is great. I appreciate the thing. I do have one other quick question, because now, and I can barely fit in this car anyway. I'm ready to go move up to my next Healey. We're just finishing a big barn project. We got 4 bays, gonna have a lift.
Wow.
We're ready to go. And now I got to fill it with a new Healey. I'd
you
like to
go.
get a new Healey. I got to get a car and fit into. And so I wanted to ask if any of you guys had heard of a site called Trovit. It's like going to classiccars.com or something like that. And is that sound familiar to you? Anybody?
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So Hemmings historically has been the Bible for buying and selling classic cars. Then you got Bring a Trailer.
Yeah.
Is another, if you look on the Healey Mark, if you look on our website, we've got the marketplace there. So do you know what kind of big Healey you're looking for, Alan?
Yep. A 1967 Mark III with
What a BJ8. Okay.
BJ8 and that champagne color.
Oh, okay.
Which is
I got one for you.
Yeah,
Peter
that's the one
Falconeri's
that's
is
been
for
painted,
sale.
right?
What's that?
That's the one it wasn't original. They painted it.
No.
Somebody
no.
said that.
Peter Falconeri's got one for sale.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
he wants like $120,000 for
No,
it. doesn't he?
no. I'm not sure. Oh, were you looking at the guys on the marketplace? No, he does not want that.
Okay. It's amazing what the spread is on these cars.
That's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
Falconeri's car is beautiful.
Yep.
Nice car.
Alan, do you want me to send you his contact information?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Peter-
got a golden beige DJ8. Ken Glidden's got one too. It's not for sale, but he's got a beautiful golden beige BJ8.
Judge Perkins.
Hey, I've got
Judge isn't original. His is
I've got a
65.
I've got a beautiful golden beige 50 Sunbeam Talbot Alpine. Also,
Is that the Get Smart car?
Huh?
Is that the Get Smart car?
No, it's rarer than that.
Anyway, I'm kind of fell in love with that color. I'm a big fan of bright colors with small cars. And but that seemed like it'd be a nice color to find. It's not easy though to find them. But yeah, Pete, if you don't, or if anybody.
Yeah.
can
It's
send
Peter
me lots of
Falconeri. I'll send
Okay.
you his contact information.
Thanks.
I'll introduce you. So, other questions tonight? Well, let me just share my screen. I'll give you kind of just updates of what's going on here with the club. So, this is the homepage on our website. There is a rally on April 1st down in Hyannis. It's run by SSCA. So if you're folks may be interested in that. The cruise nights at Patriot Place start on the 20th of April. So they're every other Thursday night for cruise nights at Gillette Stadium by Bass Pro. We mentioned this earlier. So this is this open house that Mark LeBlanc's having at British Body and Coach Works up in Fitzwilliams, New Hampshire, that Bob Britton had brought up earlier. It was a great event last year, and looking forward to it again this year. And as Bob said, you'll see 4 different cars, including Bob Easterbrook that's in there, and Dave Bevan's car that's in there for restoration. Also, hopefully you've seen this, but our birthday party at the Wayside Inn in Sudbury at Longfellows. We're going to be there on May 7th. It's going to be a luncheon. We are limited to 56 people there. So if anyone's interested in that, the first 56 are going to be able to join us for that, for our birthday party for the Austin-Healey Club.
Pete, that says May 5.
No, that was the birth date. So
Got it.
So
there's
we
the
were
7th,
incorporated
okay.
on May 5th of 75. So we're having our birthday party 2 days after on the 23rd. And so
Sorry.
it's no, that's fine. Yep. So then a couple of the other things is Bruce Ketchen, do you want to give us any updates regarding the Sun Dunes and Salty Air Tour, May 10th through 11th rather?
Sure, we're still open for anybody who would like to join us on this tour. Last year, we did a section of the Kings Highway down in the Sandwich area. This year, we're heading over to Falmouth and Woods Hole on the 10th of May. And there are some people in our group that are staying overnight in both the night before the tour, right on the canal where we're meeting to start the tour in the morning. There are some people that will be staying in the hotel there at the canal the night before, and then there are several people who will be staying down at the Coonamessett Inn in Falmouth, and the tour will go to as far as Woods Hole. There's plenty of time on the tour for exploring on your own, but we will have a turn-by-turn description of the tour, and so far we've had about a dozen people that are interested in it, so I hope we'll get some more interest, and let us know if you're interested, and we'll keep you informed.
Great, thanks, Bruce. Bruce, anything else you'd like to share tonight with the group?
Well, Peter, again, I want to thank you for hosting these technical sessions. Just judging on what we've talked about in the last few months and the months since we started doing this, the years since we started doing this. I think it's very valuable information, a great opportunity to share resources and knowledge. And I hope that we continue to see a good turnout for these events. They're very worthwhile and in my opinion, very helpful. So please stay tuned and check in from time to time. That's about it for tonight, Peter.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, so we had over 30 again tonight, so that's great. Again, we will be posting this on YouTube, on both on our Facebook page as well as on our website. So you can go back and as Ted Cryer mentioned, he missed the last call, but he was able to go back after the fact. So if there are any particular details you need to go back to, that's great. Hey, Rob Moore, anything new with your car in your Vermont garage?
Nothing new, Peter. I haven't made it up there yet. Too many things getting in the way.
Isn't that always the way with life, huh?
It is, yeah.
Well, we look forward to when you get your car running again.
Me too.
Hey, Bruce Olson, any new update on your restoration? You're on mute, Bruce.
Not too much. I've been down in Florida the last couple months, so back at work now, back to work on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'm in the middle of about to reinstall the Datsun 5-speed in my Project Lucas, my grandson's car. So I've had to replace the throw bearing, and then had a broken shaft on the cone on the outside of the transmit, on the inside of the transmission. So that's going back in the car on Thursday. So looking forward to get that back on the road. So that's really
How did that happen?
I'm not sure how it happened, but it did. So I suspect that possibly the throw bearing was installed backwards. And so this is on a Rivergate conversion. And I was hearing this tinny noise with each of the shifts. And so we found a broken collar inside where the throw bearing resides, and the throw bearing was frozen. So replaced the clutch, the flywheel, the new transmission cover from Datsun. I was able to find one on eBay and had it shipped within about 10 minutes from when I placed the order, and had it from San Francisco on Tuesday. I ordered it on Saturday. So had that all installed. So now that one, in talking with those folks, they're recommending on that transmission, that Datsun 210 transmission, they're recommending just pure gear oil. They're recommending synthetic 75/90, 70 weight 90 for that. So that's what I'll be putting back in that transmission based on the folks from down at Rivergate. So
Peter, what's the application for that car? What are you putting it in? What's coming out of it?
It's in a Sprite. It's in that blue
Okay.
Sprite, Bob. So it's called so similar. A lot of folks have put super transmissions in the big Healey's 5 speeds.
Well, that's why I asked you. I was talking to Mark about that this very day. I had when I started considering how we were going to do this, I was considering putting that box in there as opposed to the 4+. In the final analysis, I'm probably going to stay with the 4-speed and the overdrive, just because I like the sense of it better. But I had considered that before. My understanding is some of you guys probably are familiar with the doing that. The gear ratios apparently are a little bit closer with the 5 speeds. But I don't know. Has anybody had any experience with them? Positive? Because I'm basically on the fence at that part. We're not at that part of the redo yet, but I'm just looking for information on that.
Yeah, so there's a guy, Pete Delaney, Healey 5-speed is really the guy you want to talk with. So he's got a whole business there that he bought from Smitty when Smitty retired, and unfortunately he's passed away since from that. But Pete Delaney, Healey 5-speed. Again, he advertises in the back of the Healey mark, and everyone that I know that has done it loves it.
Okay.
You're gonna find it almost impossible to find a W58 transmission. And if you find one, they're gonna be very expensive. And that's the one with the ideal fifth speed gear ratio.
Okay.
Is that the one out of the Supra, Bob?
That's the one out of a Supra.
Yeah.
And just to give you an example, I have one with a bad input shaft, and I cannot find a bad input shaft anywhere in the country.
Really?
Oh my.
So
yeah, it's likely that I'm going to stay with the way it is right now.
Yeah, and so then I'm going to actually don't buy it from Mark, because I'm going to put his transmission in my car to ship over to Norway.
Really? Okay.
I need a transmission, but those are probably a W57 or W55, and they have a set of a 0.78 rear fifth speed. They're probably like a 0.83, but the first 4 gears are the same. It's just that fifth speed.
Yeah.
But I have a 3.5 rear end, so it really won't matter that much.
Okay.
Were those other ones out of Tacoma pickup trucks, Bob?
You don't want the one from a pickup truck, because that has very, tall first gear. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's, I think that's called a W59 generally out of the pickup
Okay.
truck. I mean, you know, it's more of a, I mean, Pete Delaney has them, but they're not from a Supra. You know.
Ken Beck,
and-
do you have any other sources for Bob's input shaft or super transmissions for people doing Healy 5-speeds?
No, not really.
Okay.
I was gonna
Yeah.
call John at Quantrum and see, I mean, I know he rebuilds these, and I think he works on these. Someone told me he works on these, or he sells Pete's kit.
Oh.
I might try, I heard his name earlier. I might give him a call and see if he has one kicking around.
And Pete doesn't have the input shafts either?
My transmission is in Kentucky now to a guy
Oh.
that rebuilt 150 of these. And he
Wow.
told me he had an input shaft. And when he pulled mine out, he goes, "What's this out of?" 'Cause he says,
Uh-oh.
the 3 input shafts I have different teeth on them, different number. And I go, "It's out of a Supra." And he says, "Oh."
So you're getting the
So-
shaft instead, Bob?
I am. Well, believe me, and I'm in Florida right now, and I got back, I have 5 days to get that transmission in, and then down to the docks in New Jersey to get my car shipped over to Norway. So I'm on a very tight schedule here.
Bob, are you driving your car down?
No.
Okay.
Mark's trailering it down for me.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you,
I do not want to drive to Newark, New Jersey.
no, I understand. Well, that's what I towed all mine down when I went over to England with mine, but you're
And
welcome to
you-
borrow mine too as well, Bob, if you have any interest.
Did you ship out of Newark?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. I
Yep.
guess that's
Wait.
where you,
Yeah, in 2012, when Bob Abbott and Dominic
Yeah.
and Dave Altman and I, when we did that, we shipped out of Newark, and I shipped both my hundreds, or actually, then I shipped my Jag over out of Newark as well.
yeah.
It worked fine. No
Yeah,
problem. I
Mark,
towed
Mark,
them down.
yeah, well, Mark has a big thank you, Peter. You know, and if I can't get Mark to do it, he said he could do it, or he's going to send one of his guys down, send it down
Okay.
with them. But one of the advantage of being a semi-employee there.
Right. Yep. Understand. Okay. Well, thank you guys all. So our next call is going to be on April 10th. So hopefully everyone's making good progress on their projects with their Heelys, and we'll all be ready for some nice spring driving come the middle of April. So thank you all, and have a good evenings.
Thanks,
Take care.
Peter. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Hi, dear.
Okay.